Hi, my name is David, and I'm going to walk you through how I solved the CSWA practice problem 5.1. And FYI, I'm using SolidWorks for Makers 2026. So as usual, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have your units set up correctly. So here in SolidWorks, I've got millimeters, grams, and seconds. So it's all set up. And when looking at this, I found that I try to orient the part. At first, I was just doing it kind of randomly, but I found that if I try to orient the part so that the isometric view matches this isometric view, it's easier to check to see if everything looks right, because I can just go use the Control-7 keyboard shortcut, put it in isometric view, and see if it looks basically like this. So if this is going to be the isometric view, then this face right here would be looking down from the top. So this would be a top plane view right here. So I'm going to do that. Go over here to top plane and start a sketch. And then basically I'm just going to try to draw this shape right here. All right, so one thing that I've found is rather than using these tools up here, I discovered through just learning stuff that you can right click and drag, and this gives you like these little shortcut things. So if you drag to the left, so hold down the right mouse button and drag to the left, then it automatically sets it to the line tool. If you right mouse button and drag it up, it goes into smart dimensioning. If you right click and drag down, it's normally set to rectangle, but I switched it over to center line just because I found myself using center lines more than rectangles. So that automatically goes into center line. So I found that this is a super useful tool. So if you want to customize yours, you can go to Tools and then Customize, and then it's Mouse Gestures. So these would be the mouse gestures for when you're inside of a sketch. And you can modify them by finding whatever command you want and dragging it over to there. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to go into the line tool, and I'm going to start drawing. And actually, I just realized I'm going to draw a center line first because I want to make sure that everything is locked onto this vertical line when I start drawing it. So go back to line, start drawing the line up, and then I'm going to move the mouse out and in so I back into the last point so I can switch it to drawing an arc, to draw that top left arc, and then click, and then move over to the right a little bit, click, and then down here, here, and then once again I'm going to go out and then back in to draw an arc. And click and align, and then complete the shape. So that's basically what it looks like. Now we can start smart dimensioning it. And like I said, the right-click shortcut can get you into smart dimensioning. I had a keyboard shortcut set for smart dimensioning, like Control-D. I bound to smart dimension, switching into smart dimensioning. But I found actually that the right-click not only is faster, you don't have to type in the, you don't have to have your left hand on the keyboard if you don't want to. But also it seems to enter smart dimensioning even when you're in some properties of something else. So it seems to be a powerful entering into smart dimensioning that's very quick too. So I'm going to start trying to use that. All right, so some of the things we're going to smart dimension are this 18, we will smart dimension the radius here, and the 54, the 108, 64, the 35 degrees, basically everything in this picture. All right, so here we go. Here would be 18, and Here's 18 as well. The radius here was 12, and as long as we're doing radii, the radius over here is also 12. One of the things I'm seeing already is that these two are not tangent. So just from drawing it, they're not tangent, so I'm going to make them tangent. And I found that the fastest way to make these tangent, actually I learned this on a SolidWorks webinar recently, is to click on the point that connects the arc and the line, and then a little pop-up will appear, and there's a button to make them tangent. So I think that's the fastest way, because otherwise you have to select both the line and the arc, and then you can select tangent. But here you just clicked on one point, and then click the tangent button, and that's it. All right, so what else do we have? Oops. So we'll go up to here. The width is 108. This line right here, oops, sorry. From here to here looks like it's 54. And then this line, the angle between this line, and if we extended this line out, you can imagine that we have this angle that we want of 35. So I'm going to click on this line, and then it automatically extends that angle out to the line out to set the angle. So we've got 35. It looks like it kind of messed up the shape, so we can drag until we get a nice looking shape again if we want to. But we can also just go right into smart dimensioning vertically. Oops. There we go. 64. And it looks like we're fully defined. So that's good. We did have some circles here and here, so we'll go ahead and put those in. And for that, right click and drag to the right. Actually, I have a little mnemonic. Left is line, right is circle, like the R in circle. It's a terrible mnemonic, but so I've been trying to keep those straight in my mind, and that's the best I can come up with. So we'll draw a circle here, if we can. There we go. And one right here as well. Smart dimension them. These are 10 in diameter. Okay, and now go into Features, Extrude Boss Base. There's probably a better shortcut for that, but I don't know, we can figure out what it is. All right, and we're going to do a blind 4-unit extrusion. And I'm just going to use the Enter key to complete it. And there we have the main part of it. So now we have to get this other part, which is this little curved lip here. This one I had trouble at first because I didn't know how to use reference geometry very well. Still I'm a little bit iffy on it, but what we basically want is we want to make sure that we have a plane that we can draw. Let me go back over to here. So we have a plane that we can draw this shape on. So we want this shape right here. So we need to have a plane that can contain that shape. And so basically the plane that we need to make is something like this. Basically any plane like this or any other plane that's parallel to it. All right. So what we can do is think, all right, that plane, well, number one, it goes through this line right here. If we take this little line, the plane goes through that line. It contains that line, in other words. And it's also perpendicular to this line right here. So it's a plane that contains this line, but is perpendicular to this line, or even that face. We can also use the face as well. So basically, what I'm going to do is go to Reference Geometry, create a plane, and we want the plane to be perpendicular to this plane and containing this line right here. So you can see that's what we want. It's perpendicular, whoops, it's perpendicular to this plane, but it contains this line. Now, when you do that selection, when you select the face and then this line here, it sets the first reference and the second reference, and then it automatically makes the plane perpendicular to the original plane. So that's kind of nice. It just did what we wanted it to do. I'll hit enter. Oops, not over here. I will hit check. There we go. Okay. All right. So we've got the plane. Now we want to draw a sketch in it, so we can select the plane, select, click on sketch, and then now we've got to draw this part right here. All right. Not exactly sure the best way to do it, but basically the idea is we need to make sure that this arc is starting off that tangent to this line here. If we go back for a second, you can see some information that's given about that little part, and we're given the radius of the outer curve here, the outer arc. We're also given the length of this outer line segment, but then the angle is made with the inner line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the outer part of it first, and then I'm going to use offset entities to get this inner curve. And offset entities has a feature where you can close the shape off, and so I'm going to do that to make sure that it gives you a region as opposed to just two like lines or arcs. Okay, so let's see. Got to switch back over here. So we want this arc coming off of this point. I'm not 100% sure the best way to do that, but one way that I found you can do that, I'm just going to rotate a little bit, is to try to grab this line right here and bring it into this plane. And you can do that using convert entities. So see how that brought this line here and made like a shadow copy of it onto our plane. Now we don't actually need that line, so I'm just going to change it to for construction. But basically this is going to help me launch off that arc and then start drawing the piece that we need. Let me just go normal to our sketch again. So click here and normal, and zoom in a little bit. All right, so I'm going to start drawing a tangent arc, and you actually have to select the second one here. So click here, and we'll get a little tangent arc. And then escape, and then I'm going to right click to start a line, which this has some little guiding lines here to either make it perpendicular or parallel to the tangent line. So I'm going to do the tangent one, and that's the end of that line. So I'll hit escape. Okay, so we've got basically the outer part of our little region that we need. We can go ahead and smart dimension it. Looks like this is 12, and the length here is 14. And we got to make sure that we're not doing the horizontal length, we're actually doing the length of the line. Okay, now it's still not fully defined because we can move this and the arc radius will still be 12 and this will still be 14. It's just that the arc length will be longer. But then once we set the angle in just a little bit, we're going to get our fully defined region, or fully defined sketch. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take this part and make an offset copy of it. Looks like it's got to have an offset of 4, and let's see here. We got to actually select what we're offsetting. Okay, it's all that stuff. That's in the wrong direction, so we're going to reverse the direction. And usually this is not selected, but I selected, so if you don't select it, you can see that hopefully that we only get a copy of the curve. But if we do cap ends and then lines, we get these extra lines here and here. So it actually draws connecting lines between the original curve and the offset. And I thought that was actually very helpful because it closes off the region, and you don't have to go in there and manually draw those lines. It's also cool that like you can make arcs as well, but that's not what this problem is about. So, and the 4 we get because that's the thickness of this part. So there we go. Okay, still not fully defined. But that's because we haven't put the angle in. And I could draw, like I could use another reference line here, but I'm going to go ahead and just use this line because it allows me to. I feel like there's a little bit hacky because if you change like the original feature, you might not have that line anymore. But whatever, I don't know exactly. I'm still learning, just like you. So 112 degrees, and so now we have this fully defined region that we can then do a boss extrusion of. This is totally in the wrong direction, so we're going to switch the direction to go out here. Now this length, this kind of threw me for a loop too. I was thinking like, okay, how long is the boss extrusion? But I couldn't figure that out. I mean, you can figure it out using some little bit of geometry, but instead what you can do is continue the boss extrusion until the end here, until basically this point right here. And there's an option to do that. You can do an extrusion up to a vertex, and you select the vertex that you want to extrude up to, which is this one, and it'll extrude all the way out to that vertex. So that's pretty awesome. I'll hit enter, and one of my new favorite shortcuts is Control-7, which puts you in isometric view. I used to use the space bar and try to find the isometric view in this, which is also nice, but I found Control-7 is a lot quicker. And if you don't know about the Control-7 shortcut, there's Control-1, which gives you, down here it shows you the front face. Control-2 gives you the back. Control-3 gives you the left. Control-4 gives you the right. Control-5 gives you a top view, which is useful when you're comparing it to the top view in the given problem statement. And then Control-6 bottom view, and then Control-7 gives you that isometric view, so you can then compare it to this isometric view. That's one of the things I've noticed is all the practice problems have an isometric view of the part, so you can always compare it at the end. Okay, and speaking of comparing, let's go into evaluate mass properties, and it looks like we've got 28861.98, so if we rounded that to a whole number, it would be 62, and that looks like the volume that we needed. So checks out. All right, well, I hope you found this video was helpful. If you're looking for something more professional than my rambling and inexperience, you can look for the YouTube channel called Design by Rusbe. This guy does an awesome job breaking down each practice problem. And the only reason I'm throwing these videos up is because I watched his videos up until he has finished making them, and he's still currently making them. I think he's on like 4.10. And so I realized there weren't any other like videos that were kind of slow. There were some short YouTube shorts out there, but they were hard to follow. So I'm throwing these out there to the community until Design by Rusbe has done his professional videos, and then you can just watch his. All right, take care and keep studying.